If you want to actually book meetings in Apollo in 2026, you need to ignore most tutorials out there. And I see people making this mistake over and over again. They follow some affiliate link from 2023 that doesn't mention any of the AI features, doesn't cover the deliverability changes in 2024, and then also teaches techniques that gets your email domain flagged. Because here's the truth, Apollo has changed dramatically, and so has email marketing. And the old playbook will hurt you more than it would help you. Now, just for context, I've used this model to scale to $123,000 per month by bringing in about 8 deals every single week from my company. And I'm not even an affiliate looking to get paid by this tool. So today I'm gonna walk you through everything from the filters that actually matter to the company keywords technique that most people don't even use, all the way up to the verification workflow that protects your domain from getting banned. I'll show you the 2025 AI features that no one is covering that kills campaigns right before they start. This is Apollo. You can log in using Google, Microsoft, or log in with an organization essentially. And if you don't have an account, you can always sign up right here. And then once you finally sign in, you'll be prompted with something a little bit like this. Now, before I jump into any of the features, I want to walk you through the pricing very quickly and what you get for what you pay for. Now, if we go to the upgrade on the left-hand side over here, you can see there's a couple of features. So the free feature actually only gets you 10 exports, 5 mobile credits, and 2 sequences max. And that plan is pretty much useless for real list building. And it really only gives you basic filters only. It gives you 250 emails per day. It's called free for a reason. My honest advice is to go for this basic plan over here. And with this basic plan, you'll be able to export with 1,000 credits. And now here's a quick walkthrough of the email features. Now, I don't personally use the email features just because I like to use a platform like Instantly to actually send out the emails and a platform like Apollo to actually find the leads. And funny enough, finding the leads is 30% of the work. And also, as a free plan, you're sort of limited just to Gmail. Apollo doesn't allow you to connect any other domains outside of Gmail domains. And you can also use the features that Apollo recommends, which is AI features that are on their platform. So if you go into workflows, there's AI specific workflows and they tell you exactly what they do and you can start using those. You also have a CRM side of things, which you can connect and you can have multiple pipelines and different filters under those pipelines. Again, these are all things that are possible within Apollo. However, today's video is about creating the most powerful lead list possible and the tips and tricks that I use to get a list of prospects that will then convert into clients. So if you go to the people panel on the left-hand side, this is where you will find all of your leads. So as you can see here, I have a list of already pre-vetted leads for one of our portfolio companies. And if you scroll down on this left-hand side, and if you go to this very left-hand side, you will see email statuses and you'll see this little check mark that I have checked off called verified. And essentially what this verified feature means is that it means that the leads and the actual email itself was verified to be a real person that didn't bounce at a real company, not now, but at some point. And if you go to very specific titles, let's say I want to find a job title that says CEO. If I type in CEO and I press enter, it'll automatically bring up Chief Executive Officer, CEO and Recruiter. And so you'll start to find these titles here because this is what you're including as the actual job titles. If you guys are familiar with LinkedIn Sales Navigator, it's very similar to LinkedIn Sales Navigator. However, you're not limited just to LinkedIn leads. And you also have a management levels. So for example, if you type in a job title of recruiter, what you'll start to find is you'll see a bunch of recruiters on this very right-hand side. You'll be able to see their emails, who they are, and you'll be able to get that information on them. Now, what you do is if you have departments and job functions, you can essentially filter by recruiters that work specifically in HR, which obviously, is pretty obvious, or public health or social work. And essentially, if you start to remove the heads, the managers, the VPs, and you keep only director, C-suite, owner, founder, what you'll start to see is that you'll start to see recruiters, people that actually recruit, who are also founders as well. And so if you're looking for very specific niches, and let's say, for example, you're looking for dentists, what you can start to do is you can start to find dentists that are also founders, that have their own practice. There's also an exclude feature on the left-hand side, and what you can start to do is you can type in, for example, vice president, and then you can remove all the VPs in this list. So you're gonna see the list go down to about 500 people on the very left-hand side. And obviously there's different filters like company headcount. And obviously there's different features that you can find. So you can find company names. I'll give you another example. If you are looking to reach out to nail salons, what you would do is you would write nail over here. Now you don't need to find the exact company itself like Google or Amazon or LinkedIn. All you need to do is just put in nail and press enter. And it'll find all the companies that have the title nail in them. So you can essentially find nail salons, or you put salon, and you'll be able to reach out to those practices and those locations only. So there's a lot of creative ways that you can do research on exactly who your prospects are. And there's lots of ways that you can go after them. And the most important, you also have industries and keywords. So you can pick specific industries. Let's say I want to go after only CEOs that are in the tech industry. That's a really popular industry. I might want to just put in IT services and IT consulting, or I want to put in cybersecurity, right? And then you're going to have all these cybersecurity companies. So this is how you get niched, by creating a very large lead list of people that you can reach out to today. And you can start prospecting as soon as you get this lead list, not just by calling them and doing the manual work yourself, but by creating sequences inside of Apollo to help you actually engage with those leads and get them to respond. Now, this whole entire video that I'm showing you is about 30% of what it takes to actually build a successful campaign. It's just the lead list. So stick around in this video, and later on I will show you exactly what I like to do to start automating messages to these exact prospects. And lastly, one of the other most important features is the number of employees. Now, very transparently with you, Apollo and other lead lists have a really difficult time telling you exactly how much revenue each company generates. The reason why that is because companies every single month generate different revenue. And if a company scales and grows, a software tool like Apollo may not know that right away. However, they are much better at tracking employee headcount. The reason why is because you have platforms like LinkedIn where the employees put in their positions that they're actually working at this company. And platforms like Apollo saves that information by scraping all the user bases that they can possibly scrape, and they put it inside of here. And so you can start to target by specific company headcounts. Pro tip, if you're reaching out to founders or CEOs or company owners in general, you want to reach out to company owners that have below 50 employees, maximum 100. But below 50 employees is that sweet spot to get the highest conversion rate possible. The guys that have above 100 employees, they're probably not even managing their own LinkedIn accounts. More likely than not, they don't want to be sold anything. They don't care to be sold. And if you want to reach out to VP level individuals, which is right below that CEO level, and C-suite level, what you'll start to do is you'll start to go after 51 all the way up to 500 employees. And anything above 500 employees, give or take, right? Depending on also industry, this does vary. You can start to reach out to director level individuals. And so a lot of our outreach, if we're reaching out to larger enterprise companies, we're reaching out to directors. So just to elaborate a little bit more, so where does this data really come from? This primarily comes from LinkedIn, where people self-report job titles, companies, and any information that they change. It's a networking platform, but also it saves your data. And so platforms like Apollo use this data to sell it back to us, so then they can profit from it while also profiting from LinkedIn or the tool itself, for example. And this is why data quality is high for white collar industries. And just to give you a very realistic example here, you can see on my screen, if you reach out to director level individuals or manager level individuals and you have this verified feature on, what you're going to start to realize is that the lower level titles have a smaller chance of being verified and being real because people are continuously moving jobs. So that data might be there. The email of the person who used to work at this company, let's say the person's name is John and they work at Google, john@google.com, and then they go to Microsoft, john@google.com would still be in this system, but it would not be a real email because Google deleted that email for them because they're no longer an employee. So the higher the job title, CEOs, founders, and individuals who are in the C-suite sector, they generally don't change jobs often, and they stick around for a really long time, especially with their emails. Their email generally stays the same for a really long time. The higher the level of individuals that you reach out to, the more likely that you're going to get more verified leads. So one thing that most people forget, and this is the secret sauce, is if you go to this company's tab on the very left-hand side, you'll start to see industry and keywords. Now, why is this helpful? This is helpful because sometimes you need to get very creative with who it is that you search for. Now, if I find a keyword like, for example, trucks, okay, it's just a keyword. There's no industry that has trucks in it, okay, outside of trucking. You can start to see here all the companies that have the term trucks, but also use trucks. So Ford Motor Company, and you can start to see Vail, and you can start to see Volvo Group, and stuff like that. And even though they're not companies that necessarily say trucking, one of the keywords that are inside of their company is trucking. Now, if I type in, for example, leads, and I paste that in, what you start to see is, IT leads, you're gonna start to see AI for productivity, property leads, and you're gonna find a bunch of other lead gen companies where you can see as far as keywords go. And what you'd be able to do is you'd be able to save this company, add to a list, and then later on find the employees that you want to reach out to at this company. And then now if you go back to the people's tab, you can start to do the same exact thing. So you can put in industry and keywords, scroll down a little bit, include keywords, and you can also put truck. And what you'll start to find now is the actual people that are in these companies that have anything to do with trucking, right? And also, from that point as well is you can start to actually search up those companies that we found in the companies tab right over here, and you can find those individual companies that you want to reach out to that have that specific keyword inside of them for you to be able to reach out to them. And this is what expert level list building is. You're finding people with a very specific need that want exactly what it is that you're selling. So now let's just play around with this just a little bit more. Let's say I want to build my own lead list. What I first would want to do is I want to go to email status and go ahead and click verify. This is, again, people that are not verified now necessarily, but people that were verified at some point. It means that when a email was sent to their email to check if the email bounced or not, that at some point it was a real email and it did not bounce. Now, the second thing I would do is I'd look at job titles. Now, a lot of the people that we actually want to reach out to are CEOs and founders. And then if you scroll down just a little bit more here and you go to location, super important as well. You can obviously type in locations. So I want to put in the United States, and also number of employees. I don't want to go after really large companies, but I don't want them to be small either. That 11 to 20 mark is the sweet spot that if you sell marketing services to, you can actually sell a 2 all the way up to a 5K package semi-comfortably. And over here, you can see a list of 60,000 total leads. Now, you might be asking me, okay, so do I have to pay a lot of money to be able to export those leads? And do I have to keep paying money? The answer is not necessarily. If you go to a platform like Fiverr, for example, and you search for Apollo Scraper, you can start to find people that do web scraping and lead scraping. Now, what does this mean? This means that if you go to them and you build a lead list and you share with them this link, they'll be able to find all the leads that you want to reach out to and give them back to you in a list. Now, let's say you want to send emails to them. How do you make sure that these leads are real and that the emails don't bounce? Just because you take it from Apollo doesn't mean that data is all good. And if you start to do outreach on that data and that email bounces, that'll affect your health of your domains. So where do you go? You go to a tool called Omni Verifier. And Omni Verifier even gives you free credits. So if you click get free credits over here, you'll be able to log in, take that CSV file, and Omni Verifier even gives you free credits. Now, what you'll be able to do is if you sign up to this, and again, no affiliates here, I don't get anything from this, you'll be able to put leads through a bounce ban system that'll send test emails to all the emails that you have in the system and tell you if the emails are valid for you to be able to use for outreach. And then also, how do you send those emails? Phenomenal question. We use a platform like Instantly now to finally start sending those emails. So once we get back that CSV file, that lead list, we go into our Instantly. And if you want a video on how to set up Instantly correctly, I can 100% do that. But once you set up your email inboxes, what you can start to do is you can finally start to do outreach. So you can see here that we've gotten 139 leads and we've sent 1,235,000 emails, and you can see us scaling gradually here. Now, a tool like Omni Verifier is an amazing tool for you to check and see if leads are valid. What you do is you download your CSV file. Let's say you have a list of, manufacturing companies. Like you can see here, I have a bunch of lead lists that I've downloaded. Once you upload the lead list onto a platform like Omni Verifier or Never Bounce or Million Verifier, there's a bunch of tools out there that you can use, check pricing for all. What you start to do is you can go ahead and click continue, and it'll show you all those emails over here. Once you go ahead and click continue, you will then choose email validation, and you want to validate those emails by clicking validate. Once that's done, you're going to get a lead list just like this one. And what you can do is you can go ahead and click on the 3 dots here, click export valid. It'll take a second, and then you'll finally be able to download. Now you have this list of leads that you exported that you can reach out to. And my recommendation recommendation here is to use a platform like Instantly to send as many emails as you want to actually reach out to those guys. If you want a separate video on Instantly, comment below and I'll make that happen. Also, Clay is a phenomenal option to use as well. And now let's say you don't want to use a platform like Instantly. What you can actually do is you can just go back into Apollo and there's the homepage. There's also the super cool sequences feature, very briefly, where it also allows you to create AI assisted features. So what you can do is you can, tell it a little bit more about your business and it'll start to send actually follow-ups. And once you save this sequence, you can use, domains and emails that you buy from, let's say, a provider to start sending out these emails. Now, Apollo sequences work, but dedicated tools like Smart Leads or Instantly have a better deliverability ratio, and they were made for this, while Apollo was really made for you just to get the leads. It's very similar to a platform like ZoomInfo as well. So how do you put this all together? How do the experts play? The experts have a lead finding tool like Apollo or ZoomInfo or Clay that they use to find all their leads. Then what they do is they go and use a platform like Instantly or MailChimp to be able to send out those emails. And then lastly, they have a CRM that they use like Go High Level to capture interested leads. And once they are interested, that's when the process starts of you obviously making them into a client. And a super important tip just to really make sure of is if you're sending multiple emails every single day, be sure to stay within the limits of what the actual email can send. You can find sources online that tell you exactly what your limits should be, and also use multiple domains and use multiple inboxes. Do not send from the same exact domain, because if that domain goes down, then everything goes down for you, and that's just not something that you want. So just to be honest with you, list building, as mentioned, is about 30% of what actually makes a campaign successful. The rest of it is actually the strategy and the messaging that you use in order for you to get your prospects to actually respond. Now, some common mistakes is downloading an export from Apollo without the verification tab turned on, and also not using a platform like Omni Verifier or BounceBand. Also, the actual data from mobile numbers are considered to be rough. They're not exactly accurate for the lead list that you find. You can find other lead lists that provide more accurate numbers and data out there, but Apollo is just not the platform for this. And the last thing to take note of is that not all the data is fresh. These are leads that are being reached out to over and over again by many other people. And so a founder might exit his business and sell his company and build a new company and change his email and delete his old one. So all this data is not perfect, but it's still very good. And as for the changes that were made in 2024 for Gmail deliverability, what you need to start doing is Gmail now requires a spam compliant rate of under 1%. And you also need mandatory SPF, DKIM, and DMARC authentication as well. And now you have AI tools that empower engagement quality and get people to respond because you're sending personalized emails, and they optimize for that, not just sender reputation. And this is why the list quality matters a lot. And most people actually ignore how important it is to not only build a good list, but to have the right infrastructure around that list to be able to send the emails correctly. Now, I put together a list building SOP that goes into everything I just showed you today, way more in depth. The filters, the verification workflow, the keywords technique, it's going to be in the description below. Now, if you're doing $30,000 to $250,000 per month and your pipeline is inconsistent and you're tired of paying agencies that don't deliver, I run a performance-based model where I take revenue share rather than a retainer on closed deals that these strategies that my team and I build with you can get you. This means you cover just the bare minimum hard costs. We build this exact client acquisition infrastructure inside of your business, and I only make money when you close deals. So link is in the description for that. Otherwise, grab the SOP and build some lists, and see you on the next one.